All right, guys, this is a special. I mean, I feel like I always say they're special episodes, but this is an extra special episode because sitting down with two of my good friends. We actually worked together for in many different levels. We worked together. JP, business consultant in South Florida, and Mark, owner of AlphaSurance. I want to welcome him, but before that, I want to say thank you to our sponsor for this wonderful glass water, no microplastics, Mondariz water. Giran from Atala Group, I appreciate the support you have for us. Mark, for those people who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and AlphaSurance.
Absolutely. So, Ed mentioned a little highlight there, but I graduated from UF in 2013. Started working with the two of these guys here back in the day at another company.
He was an intern.
I was Eddie's intern, his first intern before he had this beautiful staff and this beautiful office. I was intern number one. So that's
incredible, huh?
Of course, on my resume, the most important thing about myself to Eddie here. But beyond that, I started in the private equity space, and what I noticed was insurance on every single deal that I was just underwriting as a financial analyst, right? And I had questions. So in 2016, my questions at 20-something years old, like every 20-something-year-old, you're invincible. And I ended up starting an insurance agency in a weekend, right? I knew nothing about the business, no experience. I just knew that I wanted to take over this line item opportunity on every single deal that we were analyzing. We started small. And in 2020, I stayed focused on private equity for the most part. And in 2020, when the world hit the fans, or I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I know.
The world went into chaos.
Yeah, it went into disarray.
I was stuck at home like many of us, right? Thinking what's going to happen to our portfolio, our investments. And the one thing that kind of just stood out most to me was insurance and everybody's desire to maybe have the right coverage, save money. In the commercial space, a lot of it is pandemic covered under business loss, right? And so we had a lot of questions. And so I started building out the company really in 2020. We're now up to 11 people. So it's grown strong. But I have specialists for every single category that we offer. Alpha stands for Auto, Life, Property, Health, and Annuities.
I love that name, man.
Yeah.
That was a good name.
Thank you.
It sticks. It makes you think about it.
Yeah. So insurance, because we're in Miami, so it's not insurance. It's just AlphaSurance, Miami, baby. Really, because the domain was taken, but now it's become part of the brand forever. And yeah, big or small, we do it all. Alpha knows best. That's the story about Alpha and how I guess the three of us are connected.
Listen, you have brought like a certain edge to an industry where it's notoriously boring,
It continues to be boring. I make fun of it all the time. It's that oversized suit. You're either a used car salesman or an insurance agent, and these, oak desks hidden in, well or dark lit offices. And we're trying to make it fun. My team all have experience in a variety of different industries. JP has worked closely with some of my team.
Very fortunate.
Experience that they bring to the table. None of them were insurance people ever. They still don't want to be insurance people. We're just business advisors selling insurance.
Yeah, but insurance is something that everybody needs, so it's important.
Absolutely.
And there's definitely money to be made there.
Yeah, and our whole thing is we want to educate people. I know that sounds like cheesy and cliche, but we really believe that a lot of people don't know many of the trips in insurance, and so our goal is just to kind of put them in front of people and make them make the decisions. And I know we're going to focus on some of those things that are the low-hanging fruit that nobody knows about because the carriers don't want you to know, because that's their way to jack up premiums.
But going back to that point that you were saying about the boringness of the industry, your team does a very good job at not doing the set it and forget it technique, right? Because in your world, it's like, hey, I sign you up. I won't speak until renewal, until there's a problem.
Yeah.
Your team, Bobby, the whole, consulting team is on top of it. My clients call me all the time about conversations they had with you to bring back to me. So it's boring when you don't see the frequency and you're not educating. But when you bring that educational approach to it, people feel like they're on the offense as opposed to the defense.
Yeah. Insurance, like you said, a lot of times it was transactional. Set it and forget it.
Yeah.
You're only going to hear from me come renewal time. On the business side of things, so commercial insurance, we're talking to our business owners frequently to see how the business is changing, because everybody is chasing the way to make money, right? That's the easiest way to say it, especially here in Miami. Like, your business can change from one month to the next. So we try and touch in every quarter, see if you've changed the business, increased revenues, decreased revenues, change the line of work that you're in, and then shift the insurance with it. Because all of a sudden, if all I do is talk to you every 12 months, your business is in a completely opposite direction. You're not covered. You're paying for insurance that's totally useless. And then when something happens, you could lose that business, right? And so we always just want to be on top of people. And yeah, in the meantime, we're making great friends out of it too. And we like connecting our people. So one of my clients owns a surgical center, and we do a lot of Medi-Mal insurance. And so she's like, hey, I want to sell this. So the first thing I did was start calling my clients in that space, see if they were interested. I'm not a realtor. I'm not trying to make money on this. I just want to connect my clients with my other clients to see people win together.
Listen, I was going to ask you a quick question. You're in a space that's very crowded. Like, obviously, there's a lot of competition in there, and you've done a great job in standing out and you know, actually building the business the right way. But what is the difference between like going to someone like you and just going online and just going to somebody like? How is it that you guys operate? Do you have insurances that are approved you to sell them? If so, how many?
Sure.
And what is the difference between you and like another broker that people would go to?
So the biggest thing is our name, Alpha. Auto, life, property, health, and annuities, right? We do it all, A to Z. Most companies focus, or agencies will focus in homeowners insurance. They'll focus in auto insurance. They focus on just one aspect. But then something happens, you get in a car accident, you got to call your agent. Oh, which one is it? Is it this? On a business side of things, you have work comp, you have general liability, you have property, you have commercial auto, you have so many different types of exposures. And that's really what it was, is when I was in the PE space, we had a different insurance agent for every single type of insurance that we needed. So when I started this, every single vehicle in the industry told me, it can't be done. You're crazy, kid. Don't worry. Like, don't even try.
Oh, wow.
You can't do it all in one.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it is tough. I'm the first to say maybe I was wrong. I'm fighting this monster. But like I said, I don't do it all. I have a team around me, and we had to scale up to be able to offer that, to get to that team. When you buy online, you have no idea what you're buying. We don't make any like money. We get paid from the carrier. So we don't charge anything additional. What you buy online is going to be the same price that we offer. And we're getting paid because they have in-house agents that get paid on those online purchases. But we're here to educate you and make you understand what it is that you're buying. Hopefully you see value in it, and hopefully you want, you know, the right coverage. But again, we're just there to make it simple for you to understand and hopefully lead you to a sale.
No, I think you guys do a great job facilitating that aspect. It is a sticky situation, and it leads us to our next question, right? We're in Miami.
Yeah.
Workers' comp is a big one.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We have, you know, your Theo has been working without workers' comp for 30 years. Nothing's ever happened to him. And now you want to go legit, and they tell you need workers' comp. What is the difference? Can you explain to the people, you know, because there's construction workers' comp and then there's non-construction.
Sure.
Where do you see the rift? Where do you see the difference? And can we educate them on this?
Yeah. So, you know, the easy one is your office setting work, right? And that's something that I know with ADP that you can offer. You can do the pay by. So as they run payroll, based on the amount of payroll that's getting ran, it pulls out what their work comp rate is and subs it. And that's the easy one, right? And everybody should have that. If you have more than 4 employees in the state of Florida, you're actually required to have it.
Yeah.
There's nobody that'll come down on you until something happens. And then the fines are heavy. You could probably speak more to the fines than I could, but they're heavy. And then there becomes the tough ones in the construction space or the higher risk spaces like manufacturing, stuff like that. And you want to go legit. You have every intent to go to legit. You go to your ADP rep, you go to your payroll service, you go to any insurance agent, they go, we can't get you work comp. You have to go into a PEO. What a PEO is an employee leasing program. So essentially, you send your employees to work for this company and then lease them back from them. That's how it really works. They're massive. We're talking, they're millions of employees.
I had no idea.
And so they have this purchasing power where they can get that. Nobody can get you that type of coverage, work comp. They put you in with these other millions of employees. They get that coverage for you. And here's the thing. It's expensive. They charge you a premium on that. They charge you a surcharge. They charge you ad fees.
They do profit sharing.
They do profit sharing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where you really get taxed, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people stay there forever. And what JP and I have been doing a lot is focusing on those areas, get them into that program so that they get that work comp coverage. They can win these bids on the construction side of things. You park them there for 6 months. We show a history of, no losses. And then we work to get you directly into a work comp program where you eliminate all those crazy fees. You go with a simple payroll provider that's going to run the payroll, and then we take care of the work comp.
Yeah, and it's not to like bad name them at all. These PEOs,
there's a need for them.
There's a need for them 100%. Like, people need them. It's a pay to play.
Yeah.
It's a good, how do I say it? It's a stepping stone.
Yep.
So like, if you are serious, it's like your probation period to show how serious you are on the safety protocols of your business. But people don't realize that there is a program. There are people out there that are going to reward you for having that behavior, and you're going to save. We average like 10 grand.
How many?
Eventually, it's time to get out.
You're out there all the time. I know you're talking to businesses every day, like I am too. You guys from a different capacity. How many businesses do you meet that like either aren't doing things the right way, not because they don't want to, or because they don't know, or maybe don't have insurance, they don't have workers' comp, or don't have payroll, or not paying taxes? Like, how often does that happen?
So, I mean, it is pretty. It is an often thing, right? But I see it, and maybe you could add to it. It's a lack of education. Right. So ignorance is, and again, a lot of these, you do what your dad did, you do what your mom did, what your uncle did, right? So then you get these things passed down to you where it's hard to break that behavior, right? So one thing that I like to do, like me and Mark partner up, before I tell you something, I send you some educational things so that it's not my word against yours. So we love to send them right from the state of Florida, the workers' comp law.
Yeah.
And that right there is just like, hey, it's not me telling you this. I'm presenting you a solution, or we are coming to present you a solution. These are the rules to the game.
But what percent do you think people don't have that? Like when you go to
I mean, listen, if you go, I would say 50%.
50%?
Yeah, but there are people looking to move correctly.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Of course.
So like, once we get in there and you allow yourself to be educated, and I pass you over to the experts, right? Because what I do is I tee you up. And then I say, hey, here's 10, 15 years experience, a team that's been doing this forever. Listen, let them hold you by the hand and take you to the promised land. Because what happens is you look at your book of business. His book of business, amazing. It's a copy and paste game.
Yeah.
It's not reinventing the wheel completely. So if you allow us to take you there, you see success. But there is a high rate, but we are trying to do a change of the guard.
Yeah. And as a business owner, I mean, you got a million things going on. It feels as though you're doing something that's already been taken care of, right? And we don't have enough time in the day to revisit something that you feel like in your mind, you got a checklist or a check mark next to, right?
That's a good point. And I say it all the time to my team here. As a business owner, you have a million things on your mind. So you want people to bring you solutions.
Yeah.
You're willing to just like, give me the document, I sign the agreement, and ciao. You don't even want to hear the details sometimes.
Yeah, right.
Let's just move forward and get it done.
Yeah.
But it comes with trust.
It comes with trust. And if people don't trust us, if we say, we're here to save you money and eliminate some fees in your payroll, they've heard that a million times.
Yeah.
How many times have you been approached and, we could save you money in payroll? Yeah.
Sure. The Miami Hustle.
Yeah, the Miami Hustle. We all got it. They're going to save you $2 on their payroll services. They're going to cut something out kind of thing. Y lo barato sale caro, right? You never know when you might need that extra $2, but you're not going to push all that paper to save $2, right? But when it comes to people being in a PEO, like that is big money, where JTP talked about tens of thousands a year. And look, from the insurance side, we see it all the time. People don't want to take them out of this because you got to do more work. It's a lot of work to get somebody.
They're shying away from that.
Yeah. Work comp product. They don't want to do it. I'm here to, win the business, get the relationship, and then of course bring over and offer all of our other services because we do personal lines too. So as a business owner, once I gain your trust, now I want to work on your home. I want to work on your auto. I want to work on your umbrella. And that's what my team can do.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we're in a BNI together for those that don't know. And every BNI class, every Thursday is always somebody, hey, thank you for Mark for saving me $300.
He's the rock star of Squeeze the Lemon.
It's small stuff.
It's crazy, but it is.
It's small stuff, but it's volume.
Listen, this is something that everyone deals with, okay? I hear it a lot since I was young. El PIP, personal injury protection, no? Or what is it?
Yeah.
PIP insurance.
That's the requirement in Florida. It's just PIP coverage, right?
All right, so you have
full coverage.
Yeah.
Please get into detail.
You have the PIP insurance, right? And then I also hear this is a no-fault state. Right. A lot of people don't understand what that means. If you can clear that up for us.
So basically, look, I'm not an attorney. Let me start by disclosing that. So for all the warriors in the comments that are going to tear me apart, I am not an attorney. I don't try to be an attorney, okay? But I'm here as an insurance guy to tell you what a no-fault state is. Basically, you get in a car accident, and the first responsibility of taking care of your own damages is going to be your own insurance. So that's what the PIP is, personal injury protection. First 10 grand, normally off rip in medical expenses, gets covered by your own insurance. After that, then you start talking about where it depends where you draw the line of full coverage, right? Everybody has a different idea of what full coverage is, but those bodily injury limits is where if you crash into me, your bodily injury limits matter. If you don't have bodily injury limits good enough and you just have PIP, I better have what's called uninsured motorist or underinsured motorist, right? Now, these are getting into technical terms. Wow, that's why I recommend people just talk to a good insurance agent who will walk you through this and figure out what your needs are. But essentially, you got to pay for insurance because 72% of Floridians have PIP only.
Okay, but wait, if you crash into me, and I get screwed up, and I have PIP, and my medical bills are $100,000, and I don't have an insured motorist or anything like that.
If I have PIP as well, you're getting sent to collections by these hospital systems. Your credit's getting ruined. Your life is ruined.
Has that always been like that in the state?
Always. Yeah, they tried to change it under DeSantis, and then COVID happened. Really wasn't the right time to push people to come out of pocket for more expenses. But they tried to eliminate PIP as the minimum in the state and put bodily injury limits. I think it was supposed to go into effect like 2020. And they've kind of like suspended that legislation. We don't know if it'll ever come back.
And that's crazy, man. Besides that, do you see, this is something like personally, do you see like areas in the city that like people are more inclined to having like better insurance, and then other areas in the city that people are like, I can deal without it.
Yeah. I mean, look.
You have your pockets. Your pockets of legitimacy.
Of course. I grew up in Hialeah, so I'm a Hialeah kid, and obviously we're not known for the best coverage. La Ciudad de Progreso.
Yeah.
Hialeah, but then you would think Hialeah low income. Man, I see the worst coverage coming out of Brickell.
For real?
Yeah, so make it society, man.
No way.
Of course, you got that, lease, Mercedes.
You gotta love Miami. You gotta love Miami.
Of course, you got the BMW 3 Series. But here's the thing: you have 1020 coverage. What does that last number mean? $20,000 in property damage. Meaning you're pulling out of Brickell with all these exotics all around, and all you have is $20,000 in damage. And those people got attorneys. All right, if you crash into those, $100,000, $200,000, $500,000, $1 million cars, you think they're just going to let you off the hook for $20,000 in coverage, and damages? Absolutely not. They're going to sue you to death. Okay.
Damn, that's a good
call Alpha Insurance.
Caveat.
I mean, it's the truth, and I see.
So you're saying people in Hialeah have better insurance than people in Brickell?
I'm saying it's the same, and the thing about Hialeah is there's not exotics driving around, and so you could get away with it, right?
Yeah, the limit will be
the limit. The $20,000 probably covers your Corolla, right? But what's crazy is the same people in Brickell have the same coverage, and they're like, "Oh, but I don't drive that much." Yeah, an accident doesn't care about when you drive, right? That's why it's called an accident. It could happen on your best day, the perfect weather, everything's perfect, and it just happens, right? But if you're stuck with that coverage and you crash into something very expensive, you could be paying for it for a lifetime. And what people don't realize is like the first part of coverage, so that initial coverage is the most expensive part. Increasing it from there, although it is, additional, it's not significant like the first part is.
Got you. Another question that I have is
the car topic though.
No. The car. We're gonna stay in the car. I'm 21 years old.
Uh-huh.
I go get my car.
Yep.
And my insurance is extremely expensive. Why is insurance more expensive, or even the color of the vehicle impacts the insurance? I don't know if that's a myth or not.
Yeah, it's a myth now.
Oh, okay, it's a myth.
It used to be true though.
It used to be.
I remember I wanted a red car, and they're like, "Get ready for your
Yeah,
bill."
a red car and a red Mustang as a 16-year-old, forget it. The color doesn't matter.
But like the age and the gender matters on the insurance coverage. Is that true or not?
So age matters. Gender, kinda. Job really has an impact.
Oh,
as
wow.
Well. Your credit score, more than anything, has an impact as well. They call it an insurance score, but they're doing a soft credit pool. So at 18 years old.
When did this start?
It started a while ago. Basically, insurance carriers are always looking for a way to drop the hammer on somebody.
And
right?
pull up the price, right? So like, you're 18, you got no credit.
And they have created, statistical models that have correlated bad credit score with higher claims. And more, a lot. You go to Black Point Marina and there's a car going into the ramp every single weekend, right?
Yeah.
So people can't really keep up with the payments. And so they've picked up all this data. I don't like that side of the business. It's all statistical analysis. We just
human behavior.
sell it, right? But we have to understand how it's being modeled and how it affects our people, right?
You listen, talking about the cars going into the marina, and what do insurance companies do if like 5 or 10 years later the city ends up pulling cars? I know that they have certain moments that they go to the canals and they start pulling cars out of the canals. Can you highlight that a little bit?
Look, after 21 days, an insurance carrier has to write a check. All right, that's the law in Florida. They got 21 days. If they can't recover the vehicle, identify the vehicle, or know where it is, it's assumed that it's a total loss, and they technically have to send you a check. I've seen where insurance companies have literally said, sue me. And we're talking the big name brands.
We're not sending you that check.
A buddy of mine had a limited edition TRX stolen after 3 days. It was a bright yellow. Had it stolen 3 days after owning it. It was a $110,000 loss. And they fought him. And he had beautiful coverage with a great carrier. But it happens, right?
But can insurance do anything after that? Like after they find the car like 5 years later, is there nothing happen?
That's it.
That's like their...
They have insurance too. Look, there's levels to this. It's called reinsurance. They go to London, sip some tea with, the king of insurance, and they buy insurance. So everybody, they're really on the only hook for maybe 15-20%.
I'm going to keep going.
No, wait.
Okay, go for it.
We're all around the same age, right? What the hell happened to AAA?
All these everybody thinks, I got roadside hazard included in my car insurance.
I see them on the streets. I see them on the turnpike and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you call to get your tire changed to a little donut, and you're dressed up, you're going to work, you're looking good, so you bought the roadside coverage. It's only $5 for 6 months. First, that's a lie. All right, reduce it and you see that it goes lower than the $5. But number two is they count that as a claim. Okay.
So wait, calling AAA roadside assistance.
You got a flat tire.
For a flat tire, a tow, all of that. Same thing, free windshields in Florida, right? You don't have to pay out of pocket for a windshield. It's also a claim. So come renewal time, they tax you. They're going to say, hey, you had 3 claims. You're like, I've never been in an accident. Well, you called roadside assistance twice, and you called for a free windshield because you had this little tiny chip. And you got the windshield replaced. Wow. The insurance company's still paying for it. And at the end of the day, you know who they're going to call to change that tire? AAA. They're calling AAA. They got a contract with AAA. So I never sell roadside assistance when we sell auto insurance. It's like a big no in our agency. I tell people, call AAA. AAA doesn't pay me for this. I'm sure there's their services. I think it's like $74 a year for a household.
That's what I was about to say. It's a minimal cost. You can put a couple people on it. And you were helping my mom right now with insurance for her vehicle. And a lot of her claims are these roadside assistance. Exactly. You're talking about a lady that's approaching her 70s. She's not going to change a tire. She's not going to do these things. So you think it's beautiful. And she's jacked up, paying
close to $800.
No, just off that.
Yeah. But wait a minute. So you're saying it's better to have your insurance separate from your roadside assistance?
100%.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, you should never have.
They don't communicate with each other.
That's the whole reason why you do that, right? Because AAA is not going to report to Progressive or Geico that you called for a tow or a tire change or anything like that. But if you did it through the actual carrier, so if you did it through Progressive or Geico, now they're aware of it, they count it as a claim. Basically, insurance companies...
Are they in cahoots with each other? Because this looks like a great business model.
Insurance companies, so it's actually regulated by the state of Florida, where insurance companies have to go to insurance god in Tallahassee and justify why they need to increase rates. And this happened with the free windshields in Florida way back when. They said, hey, we need a 5% increase in our rates. And I'm like, why? Like, you're not paying out any claims. And I was like, oh, what can we do? So they probably all got together. Don't quote me on this. I don't know if this happened, right? I'm just imagining this is how it happened in my head. They all got together and they said, what if we gave out free windshields to everybody? Then we could count them as claims. And when we go for insurance, rate increase, beep, beep. We show them, we had to pay out all these claims for us. We need to increase it 5%. And that's why they do it.
Damn, that's crazy, man.
So same thing. First, those windshields way back when, and now they're doing it with roadside assistance.
All right, so pivoting from the vehicle portion of it, all right, real estate is a huge industry in South Florida. It's been blowing up.
We're hurting.
Right? Right now, it's like a little bit of a downturn, but can you shine some light on the difference between having an HO3 insurance and HO6 insurance? And for those people who are buying a property right now, what's the best way to get an insurance quote because ultimately that has an impact on your mortgage, and your
DTI, the whole nine.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife's a mortgage broker, and so we face this all the time. whether you need an HO3 or an HO6, and that's technical jargon. HO3 is a single family home. HO6 is a condo. And a lot of people don't understand what is covered in a condo. Your condo association should, I say should, but they better, carry exterior coverage. So in a condo, you're what I call threshold to threshold. So from the threshold of the front door in the hallway where you walk in to the threshold of the balcony is actually the responsibility of the condo association because that's exterior. Everything on the inside is your responsibility. So the drywall, the kitchen, the floor, the ceiling, all the fixtures, el baño
is on you.
Everything is on you. So you need coverage to rebuild the interior of that condo. You buy a condo for $500,000. That is not to say you need $500,000 in coverage, right? There's still some sort of just land value, value that is associated with your view. So we recommend anywhere from $75 to $100 a square foot. But if you got a nice bougie condo, you could probably go up from there. We've done them as high up as $300 a square foot, $500 a square foot. Really depends.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, those are nice condos.
Those are really nice condos.
Yeah, we write some nice condos, man. And then your HO3 is going to be your single family home. So your standalone property, even some townhouses are considered, HO3 properties because the condo association doesn't carry exterior coverage. And the biggest driver in single family homes as far as rate is going to be the year built. The year built.
Wow.
And yeah, here, especially Coral Gables, we see some of the highest insurance for what it is, even though they're inland. And it's because they're 1926.
I was about to just say that.
1947.
Yeah. 100 years.
30s.
Yeah, we live in the Shinley Park area, and we bought a 1947 construction home. And my insurance for 1,000 square feet, I was paying close to $6,000 a year.
No, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Man.
I tore it down, got a brand new year built in 2022 construction date, twice the size now, over 2,000 square feet under air.
Beautiful home, by the way.
Thank you. And I pay less than $3,000 a year.
Wow. I was going to ask you on that. How big of an impact is impact windows or shutters on a property?
Huge, especially here in South Florida, right? The closer you get to the coast, the more important it becomes. But just Miami-Dade County, Tri-County in general, super important. And a lot of people will have all their windows done. Their garage door is not impact rated. They don't have shutters for the garage door, the actual one that opens and closes.
Yeah.
And then you don't get the coverage or the credit. It's binary, 0 or 1 system. There's no half credit. You have to have every single opening covered or rated for impact.
But can that prevent you from getting a mortgage, or your insurance is going to be higher?
Your insurance is going to be higher. So the number one thing that prevents people from getting a mortgage is debt to income.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that just it's going to make it a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
So when you're counting all your dollars, because that's what you're doing.
And especially people that are selling a home, if you know that if you haven't done the garage door, people buy payments here in Miami, right? People don't buy houses. People buy the
payment.
They don't care how much the house costs. They don't care anything like that. They want to know, what is my monthly payment at the end of the day? So if you can lower that cost of insurance by improving the house, spending $2,000 on a garage door, and it lowers that person's payment now when they're shopping for everything, it's huge. And you're going to be able to sell your house for more money.
Okay. You got anything, Jay? Or I'll keep going.
No, I think it's a big, it's a big thing to forecast. So
ask him about flood.
Yeah. So, okay. Forecasting that's what I was going to do. Yeah. Forecasting where Miami's going, where South Florida is going, right? We're sinking. We're sinking, exactly. We got water rising. We've always had these flood zones that were optional, right? But we see as things are changing and insurances are lobbying a little bit more, where do we see this going? I
mean, in true Miami fashion, you both were Miami realtors, right? So you guys know where you're coming from. You know what it actually impacts like a deal. And, Flood Zone X is the non-mandatory flood zone. Insurance is never 100% anything. It's never, and it's never always, right? Or it's not always. So a Flood Zone X is once in 500-year flood zone, meaning statistically speaking, it's going to flood, just not highly probable, right? And we saw that happen on the West Coast with these two big storms.
That's crazy.
A lot of people were in Flood Zone X, meaning non-mandatory flood zones. They did not carry flood insurance. And they got flooded. And so
when that happens,
their house is total loss. FEMA gives you a check for $25,000, says good luck.
That's
it.
Do you at least keep your land?
Yeah, you keep the land if you could pay off the bank.
That's what I was going to say.
Right? But at the end of the day, we bought a payment, which means we don't own it. You got to satisfy the bank. So the bank now is saying, hey, we have a mortgage on this property that's $500,000 and it's an empty lot.
Yeah. Is there any concessions? Are they making any concessions for that situation?
You think they are? They're gonna
Damn, that's crazy, man. They're gonna take advantage of you there. Yeah,
of course.
I mean, a lot of people got
a lot of developers are coming in with cash offers to buy people and stuff like that. So insurance on Flood Zone X, if it's non-mandatory, is cheap, right? But that's changing. Broward County just had a 70% increase in the flood zone footprint. They're saying by 2027 in the state of Florida, 90% of the state is going to be in a mandatory flood zone. It's going to happen, right? The storms that we're seeing are getting a little bit stronger, meaning they push water inland more. The drainage isn't happening what it used to. So everything is pointing to everybody will be in a mandatory flood zone, especially in the coastal area where we have the highest concentration of people in Florida. And for those that are in flood zones, if you have a mortgage, you don't have a choice. You're buying it, right? So it's just... You got to get it, but I would recommend for the people that are in flood zone X's, still buy it. It's cheap. We're talking
it's like $300, right?
It's like $600 for the year on a single family home.
Yeah, $25,000 FEMA check is not going to cover nothing.
Yeah.
Listen, just curious, are there any insurance companies out there that like do things the right way or they pay well? You know, how fast do insurance companies usually pay? You know, would you recommend or how do you see that?
So we work with almost every single insurance carrier in Florida, except for the ones that won't pay. And I won't work with them on purpose. And I don't want to name names here, but they exist and you can look at them.
That's crazy.
I'll just say some of them, all these companies are rated or should be rated. And there's a company that some years wants to get rated, meaning they had a good year. And then the next year, like, no, don't rate me.
Oh, you get to choose.
Well, you can. Right,
the report card is optional,
but
I didn't know that.
A lot of the insurance or the mortgage companies don't allow non-rated. My errors and omissions don't allow me to sell non-rated carriers without, they won't cover it if a claim were to happen or if I were to make a mistake. So we stay away from those. But they're the cheapest, right? And everybody's like, oh, but hey, it's cheap. So when you're talking about an insurance carrier that's not going to cause any problems, yes, they exist. They come at a premium. But most carriers, for the most part, are pretty reasonable with their claims. They're responsive. So everything that we sell, we never have a problem. But there are those that go above and beyond, white glove service. They'll send people to put on shutters for your home.
Wow. We need these insurance companies.
Yeah. I mean, high class, man.
When are we getting them here?
Yeah. But obviously, they're not doing it for $1,000 policy.
Yeah,
and they send you a bill. It's not like they're taking on that expense. But their clientele is that have, the beautiful coastal homes. And just like, hey, send me a bill and I'll pay it, but I just don't want to deal with it, right? And same thing on an agency side. That's the level of service that we try and give is like, hey, look, I want you to make a decision on coverage. We'll talk about price. If it's in your ballpark, we'll take care of it from that.
Yeah.
My whole thing is like, I had a client that just got a suspended driver's license and revoked tags because he forgot to update his cars when he bought a new car. Two of them. He bought 2 new cars, didn't update the insurance. All of a sudden, he gets a letter from DMV saying your driver's license is suspended, your tags have been revoked. And I talked to him. I said, dude, all you have to do is send me a picture of the
and
thing
I take
just
care
say,
of it.
change it, because you're at that level where you don't care. The car that you're changing is going to impact your premium, make maybe a couple $100 every 6 months. We're not discussing price here. We just want it done right. He goes, you've always told me this. My apologies.
Yeah.
We know the person. I'll share after who it is. But that's
it's
what
not.
we strive
It's not
to
me.
do. It's not you.
He's not in this room. He's not in this room.
Listen,
But
Go ahead.
a good segue there, right, is when you think about those coastal homes, right? Insurance, you can insure anything. Let's just be, straight up about.
Yeah, I know.
You can insure divorce.
We might have a product here.
I don't sell it, but I was curious, right? I thought I had this genius idea because I get asked that question a lot, right? And then I was like, man, that's crazy. But to JP's point, you can insure anything. And so I found out that there actually is a market that you can insure divorce. I can't speak to the specifics. I've never sold it, but it does exist.
But do you get it before? Like over under? Under? I think like in 4 years.
I know that if it's your first marriage or second marriage, like all those variables, play an impact. But you can insure anything, man.
You got to
the hole-in-one challenge. So you've gone to golf tournaments,
yes,
and they're giving away a car or $1 million. They're not giving away $1 million. They bought an insurance policy that is for hole-in-one coverage, and if somebody hits the hole-in-one, the insurance company's paying out.
That's crazy. Listen, we have a lot of restaurants, obviously in the city. It's a big topic every time here. Restaurants are notorious for, slim margins, cash flow heavy businesses. Can you give us some insight on the insurance operation for a restaurant?
Absolutely. So, first, every restaurant's going to have general liability. Every restaurant's going to be required to have workman's compensation. And beyond that, there's probably, if they have, delivery exposure directly, you might have some commercial auto exposure. And I don't want to generally speak as to what anybody needs. What we do is we call it following the money. So we get into the business, and one of my guys who works with me has 20 plus years in the hospitality market. That's what he loves to do. Just it's very hard to create a family around that if you're not the owner of something, right? If you're just working in the industry, it's a tough industry for employees to work in and create stability. So he's still working for hospitality owners, just in a different way now through the insurance. So this is somebody that knows the in and outs of restaurants. They know where the risks fall. They ask the right questions, and we get you the right coverage. A lot of landlords, especially for restaurants, come in with an insurance requirement in the lease. And they say, this is your insurance requirement, paragraph 3C. You need $5 million of coverage for this. You need $1 million in coverage for that. And most restaurant owners just call their agent and they say, this is what I need because it's my insurance requirement. And they get it because the insurance agent is happy to sell a product that they know that the client doesn't need because they make more money, right? We make a percent of what is sold. So if somebody's asking for it, I'm not going to push back. We push back. And we call the property manager that's based out of Ohio, doesn't understand South Florida market at all. And we have a conversation. We say, why do you need that coverage? The property's limited to this. These are the safety things that are in place to limit damage. And we negotiate that. We'll negotiate that paragraph in your lease for you. Of course, with the realtor being part of this, and we've saved people, thousands of dollars a year. Because, again, every other state, you can get it off the shelf. That's the type of coverage. But here in Florida, it's very expensive, and it's not part of the norm.
But wait, so you're telling me that you can negotiate people's insurance? Can you do that post? Like, if I have a restaurant right now, I'm 5 years into the business, I have my typical insurance I've always had, I can call you, and you can go and figure out if you can lower my insurance coverage?
Yeah, depending on who your property manager is or who owns the building, that's something that we do often.
And also the timing. Because maybe your renewal.
Yeah.
When your renewal comes in, now you get to renegotiate those clauses.
I didn't know that.
We see, insurance requirements, again, $10 million in liability coverage.
That's ridiculous.
And
it's insane.
You're a small little salad takeout place. You're doing fast casual. You have no dine-in exposure. Why do you need $10 million worth of coverage? Who are the clients that you're serving that are requiring this? And it's just because they contracted a property manager. They're massive, and they just have a national standard that they put in every single lease.
See that a lot.
And that is not specific to Florida. It's not specific to South Florida. And they're reasonable. On the other side, they're reasonable, right? It just needs to be pointed out to them that it's irrational to have that here. And it takes a little bit longer, right? We got to go back and forth with legal departments and realtors in the middle.
Yeah.
But we get it done all the time. And we save people a lot of money, and that money is directly impacting their bottom line.
And because we've been giving a lot of good stuff here, and I think the people want to know, do you guys speak Spanish?
We speak Spanish.
Okay.
Do you habla español?
Yes.
That's huge here.
Yeah.
You tell me you're going to negotiate. Maybe the landlord doesn't speak English.
Yep.
You got me, maybe, and you need to connect those
Somebody who
points.
speaks another language too, no?
Yeah, so we have people that speak French in our office
French,
as well. We're working on some Russian. Duolingo's going a long way for one of my guys.
Aventura, here we come.
Yeah, we speak Spanglish. We speak Spanish. We got a team that could handle it all. And that's something that we're looking for when we're hiring, right? And we have a big internship program up in Gainesville at UF over the summers. And one of my biggest things is like looking at languages spoken. And I don't just want English and Spanish speaking, because we want to discuss coverage in your primary language so that you understand it.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Because if I'm talking PIP, BI, business income,
a lot of acronyms.
that's just going, people are just like, just tell me what I need, right?
Yeah.
We can't tell you what we need or what you need. We need to have a conversation about it, and you need to, understand what it is, and then you tell me the coverage. So having that in the primary language, like I said, we could serve English, Spanish, French right now. And we're working on a lot more languages.
Yeah.
That's going the extra mile.
Yeah.
Because, just sending the picture and just the requirements and not talking about your process, you find a lot of holes that become profit leaks.
Yeah.
If you want, ask them about the boat insurance stuff.
Yeah. As we're going underwater, right? Or, we have a couple people taking advantage of that now. We have our toys. All right, we have our motorcycles, we have our side-by-sides, we have our boats. What do you guys do in that space? Is there anything unique you guys do?
So, and thanks for bringing that up. We just started working with a limited exclusivity for a specific boat program. We're one of 15 agents right now representing in the state of Florida. It's like, I don't want to say it's a pilot program because it's a carrier that's been around forever, but they're getting into Florida for the first time. All right, that's a big risk for any carrier to start in Florida. So they limit the agents that they work with so that they get quality business. They test the market. We give them feedback. And so right now we have a program for boats that are 37 feet and bigger, $1.2 million in value and higher. So your 100-foot yacht, we could do it. And it is crushing the market as far as coverage wise and as far as premium wise. So 37 feet, $1.2 million in coverage value. We could literally save thousands. We saw a very, very big one where we're saving them tens of thousands.
Wow.
The bigger the boat, the more the savings, right? But we insure it all. A lot of these people have transplanted from northern states, right? You come down, you buy the condo, you buy the Keys house, you buy the boat. It's your first time owning it. And you're just going to your agent. You're like, just add that, add that, add that. You have no idea what you're buying. So it's really time to start shopping because the boat market especially is a difficult market to place risks here in South Florida. You really have to know your stuff. My team does. And if you're just going to your traditional agent who sells you everything else, they might know what a boat is or the type, but there's a lot of markets that it's very, very specific. You have to be in the right place.
Oh.
So my team has a full understanding.
Is it true that if you have a motorcycle, you don't need insurance?
So the rule is if you have a motorcycle and have health insurance, you're not required to have BI. So you could have PIP only.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't recommend that, obviously. But yeah, there's some weird laws in Florida that need to change.
It just feels like they assume you're just going to die.
Yeah.
Like,
they're like, you don't need coverage because you're not making it on the
I didn't think about it that way, but
yeah, I've heard of that. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not.
And that's something that like hasn't changed in the insurance space in 20 years since we were kids and heard about that. It hasn't evolved. And that's the thing about like insurance is it really is not one that is evolving.
And why would you say that? Is it because there's, those old rules allow for more money to be made?
It's a liability game. It comes down to that, right? Is they want to hold one person accountable. So as agents, they want to hold us accountable. If I do something wrong when I sell you a policy, they want to hold me accountable. And so in an industry like that, where everybody's accountable, to modify things, you need to figure out where the accountability falls as you modify things. And so change is slow to come.
Interesting. Big thing we see here, businesses, we see, a lot of insurance agencies, you see a lot of doctors' practices, surgical centers, right?
Plastic surgery places.
Right?
You think Dr. Chopra.
Yeah.
You need malpractice insurance, right? That's a space that we see a lot in.
Yeah.
How does Alpha, plug in here?
So first, medical industry in South Florida is actually one of the biggest industries in South Florida.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize it.
Everyone has to look good.
Everybody has to look good, but
we're competing here on looks.
So they own medical plazas of the world that are massive. All their competitions, the Cano Health, everybody I feel like owns a medical facility these days in Miami, right? And there's a lot of medical facilities that will not carry malpractice insurance. Some of these OBGYNs, some of your doctors, your surgeons don't carry any medical malpractice
That's
insurance.
asinine.
But let me ask you, do they need to say that?
It's posted.
It's
on
posted
the
on the lobby.
right?
Okay.
They probably even got it a couple more places, and they practice, asset management protection, where basically even if you tried to sue the doctor, you're not going to get anything from them because they have everything so protected.
That's crazy.
I would feel like it'd have to be illegal not to have malpractice insurance.
I would hope so too, but again,
Another
laws are old,
loophole.
right?
Another loophole.
But a lot of people don't do it and don't carry it because it feels like they put a target on their back, right? Or it's just so expensive that it eats away at their bottom line. And that used to be the case, but a lot of carriers have stepped into the market, and especially if you own the building, stuff like that. They're carriers that want a package, right? The packaging and the homeowner side of things, like bundle and save.
It's real?
That's gone on the home and auto side. There's not a carrier in Florida that really does it, except for some that are captive and only sell their own stuff. But on the business side of things, especially in the medical space, that still very much exists. So they'll do your medical malpractice, they'll do your general liability, they'll do your work comp, they'll do all of your coverage that you need for a medical office, and they understand what the risks are, they understand what the appetite are, and the prices have come down significantly to what they used to be because these carriers have entered the market. So anybody that's walking around and seeing a doctor without medical malpractice, chances are that doctor just hasn't shopped for insurance in the last 10 years. You know, and that's a fact of the matter.
So, but you can help them with it, obviously.
Absolutely. We'd love to.
Does it take long to get a medical malpractice insurance?
So, you know, like anything in a big practice like that, we're going to need credentials, what it is that you do. There's a process. There's an application. There's supplementals. But it's less than a 30-day process.
Yeah.
And if you got all your stuff together, it's a matter of a week or two.
I had another question that I didn't ask earlier. Believe it or not, you've told me that insurance companies are watching our social media profiles and our websites and can determine coverage based off that.
Yeah. So they'll determine price, they'll determine the risk, and a lot of people want to flex on their website, right? We see this a lot in the construction space.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
Oh, yeah. You only do tile, but you have a forklift.
Exactly. So everybody puts that they do the world on Instagram and on their website because, let's face it, it's Miami and you want them to call you first, right? You got a primo que lo hace,
You got
right?
the guy who has the guy.
Yeah,
The one-stop shop.
Yeah, you
right
got a
there.
guy that got a guy. But the insurance carriers are looking at this, and I can't explain that to the insurance carriers and be like, no, actually that was a one-time thing, or they really don't do that. And then they say you're misrepresenting the risk. So only put on the website what it is that you do. We see it in the bars and restaurant space all the time too, where they'll say, no, my cheapest drink is $2, right? We're talking, you know, specials, right? $2 special. And then it's like, do karaoke and get a 25-cent shot. You can't do that. You know,
wow.
Those are things that you just straight up can't
I didn't
do.
know that.
A lot of
But how does
carriers-
that affect the $25 shot?
You're getting more drunk.
You're getting more.
Yeah, you're getting more drunk.
You're exposing yourself to
a lot
liability.
more, right? Like you're encouraging people to drink, and so somebody will go up, sing 4 songs, and get faded.
Drink excessively.
So it affects their liquor liability. So, but every single business, it impacts, right? So be careful what you post on your social media. I'm not saying don't market, don't advertise.
Yeah.
We have to.
Be tactical.
Right? But you have to understand what your limits are. And the difference of giving somebody a shot for 25 cents or giving them a shot for $1.25, it's not going to make or break your special, right? But it will make or break your insurance.
How often does it happen that insurance actually looks at it? Like,
On renewal, all the time.
for real?
At a date of a loss, they will go back and investigate and see this stuff. And they'll be like, well, you told us on an application that you didn't do this. You've been doing it. Here's the proof.
Wow.
All your
Man,
socials.
they're looking for reasons to not pay.
Claim denied.
No
Claim
way.
denied.
Yeah.
And so now you're personally on the hook for 250 grand, 500,000, whatever. The
Off
claim
some
might
social
be.
media advertising.
Yeah, and you're
But,
like,
you
you have to
thought-
defend that it was a one-time thing, and it's like, but you stated that you never did or never would do it, so you have to be conscious.
And ignorance doesn't help you there.
Ignorance is not a defense, and that's why you have to work with an agent who really tells you, hey, this is what it is. We look at all of our clients' socials, like the account manager is responsible
For doing that,
for
the due diligence.
reviewing. I mean, I'm going to support my people anyways and support my clients. So I'm going to give you a follow.
Of course.
But beyond that, the reason we're actually doing it is to make sure that you're not falling out of line with anything that the insurance companies are going to require or prohibit you from doing.
That's crazy. I had no idea that was possible. Well, we do have a client that we did an event for that I told you about.
Yep.
And the insurance company sent them an email like a week later, and they were monitoring their social media. And they said, you guys literally had a beer festival at the property, and you said that you don't have events.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of heat for that.
Yep. Yeah. So
would it be
having
better
the right
to-
coverage is also an important thing, and that's why when we sit down, we ask you all the questions. It might be overload, or it seems like it. But we want to protect you for everything, right? We want to give you the ability to change your business as you see fit, as you need it, and not have to go to your agent, say, hey, can we endorse this? Can we change this? You're planning an event. You have a million other things to worry about. Insurance should not be the last thing. So you could always get broader coverage. It's not much more expensive. It's not that big of, an increase in premium, but it lets you work and do business as usual.
Yeah,
All right.
proper way.
Last question. You got to give me your top 3 restaurants. What are Mark's top 3 restaurants? Start with number 3.
Number 3. I mean, it's been said a million times here, but I got to go Flanagan's because I'm on my...
No!
I got to, man.
I love Flanagan's.
I have to.
People hate on it, though.
I
Why
know
didn't I be
people
like-
hate on it, and I've seen the comments, and people are going to destroy
But I think you
me.
put it at 3. It's a fair number. You get me? It's a
man. It's
fun
a safe-
place,
I
good
love it.
food.
Bueno, bonito y barato.
Hey, look, you don't feel like cooking on a Saturday. You've been in the heat. You've been playing golf. You don't want to get all dressed up. And you know it's going to be good food.
Yeah, you can count on it.
Funny service. There's always a character there, right?
Yeah.
So you have to.
Number 2.
Dos.
Number 2. Number 2 is tough. To plug somebody in number 2. You know what? I got to give a shout out to Birdie's Bistro on Granada.
Oh,
okay?
wow.
Yeah. I feel like they're underrepresented.
Nobody said that one.
Nobody's ever said it.
Really?
Birdie's, the story behind Birdie's, it used to be Bob's Burger.
Yeah.
Granada, right? Bob died. And his wife took it over. She's changed it up. It's your standard diner type. They class it up a little bit. It's cute. We go there for breakfast. There's your regulars. It just feels like small town Miami.
Yeah.
You know?
Nice.
Damn, I remember.
I'm going to go check that out. I never been.
Great.
Number 1.
Number 1, and I'm drawing a blank to the name. Right here on Giralda, the Italian place.
Oh, and Lucas Osteria?
Lucas.
Oh, but Lucas Osteria is out of this world. It's out of this world.
So number 1.
Number 1, Luca Osteria. Number 1 for sure, Luca Osteria. And the panna cotta there is the best thing on the menu. I know it's dessert. There's a cigar bar down the street. I always tell my wife I'm only going for an hour or 2 hours to smoke cigars. That never ends that way. You're there 6-7 hours. You're coming home late. All is forgiven. I order takeout of the panna cotta.
Wow.
All right, you bring that thing home.
Oh,
It comes with a little cookie.
Legendary moves here by Mark.
That's the get out of jail free card. All is forgiven. Bring that home. Go out of your way and bring it home. But honestly, just the food is spectacular. The service is amazing. The wine list is
It's a
incredible.
local spot. It's a local spot.
I've never been, and a lot of people recommended it.
It's really good.
Yeah.
They take pride in what it is.
But I heard it's like a mission to get like a reservation.
It is.
Yeah.
But those are good places. Have you even heard the rule?
Hey.
If you see a line for food, you stand in it, man.
very
You have
impatient
to.
I'm not gonna be. I'm not gonna lie. I've gone and eaten at 4:00 there because I couldn't get a reservation
Yeah.
later, and it was
Yeah.
a last minute thing. It's something you have to plan for. I do a
best
lot
places,
of, a lot of meetings. I always try and, hey, we're booking something a month in advance, 2 months in advance. You get a reservation, you go there.
Got it.
It's
And-
worth it.
And I've seen some celebrities there. It's worth sightseeing. Yeah, man, they got a real reservation list, and they got some very high class people going in there.
All right, so I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna ask Jay the same question because Jay's a major foodie,
He's a big
and we always talk about restaurants, and he's all over the streets too. So Jay, give us your top 3 restaurants, starting with number 3.
Well, look, I mean, I'm Colombian. Came here from Colombia. Love South American food. Love our Latin food. For number 3 for me has to be Islas.
Islas Canarias?
Islas
So
Canarias.
that's a solid one. Everyone,
You
that's
get me?
consistent.
That's the word right
Very
there.
consistent.
We talked
Yeah.
about Flanny's being up there. It's the consistency. I
Yeah.
can go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The specials are fire.
Yeah.
Vaca frita is always consistent.
Of course, that's in the hood.
You can get a pollo frito,
Yeah.
K-Town, stand up.
Yeah.
You know. Number
two.
2. I love Fratellino here in Coral Gables.
Commissioner Lara, I just mentioned that one
Yeah.
That
last
place,
week. Yeah.
oh, if you've never been there, they make the pasta in house.
Yeah.
That's great.
They have the best, and you can quote me on this, lasagna in Miami.
No way.
Yeah.
I got to take my wife to
They
it.
do a bechamel. If you guys don't know what that is,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
he puts you on. It's
You
a
can
little
bet your
sauce.
ass. It's good.
Oh, and there it's homey. They have pictures of his family. His grandma started it, then his dad took over. Now he's there. So I call him, and the place is just one like Luca Osteria. Very hard to get into. And I call him, and I'm like, hey, it's just me, my daughter, and my wife. I already know what I'm going to order. He's like, I'll give you 30 minutes. I'll give
Oh,
you 45
wow.
minutes.
Amazing.
Jay's got the plugs.
So things like that, those things go a long way. You get me?
Number
And
1.
Number 1. That's really hard.
That's a hard one, man.
hard.
Right? You can say number 1 right now.
I mean, Lung Jai. That
Oh,
place
yeah?
to me is, again, all these places are consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get me? I could go on at the end of the night.
That's,
I can go
Thai
at the
food, no?
beginning. Yeah, the Thai food.
What do you like there?
Chef What do I like there? Khao soy, incredible. If you don't know what a khao soy is imagine it's their version of a spaghetti.
Okay.
But some of the noodles are cooked, and then on the top, the noodles are fried.
Oh, wow.
So you break it into it. So it's like a curry, but nice and crunch.
It's 10 a.m. I'm starving.
Oh, no,
too,
no.
man.
The spicy beef salad.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong there. Again, for me, it's there's a beautifulness and the simplicity of,
Yeah.
of making good food, consistent food. There's nothing worse than, Miami's expensive, but to pay for bad food,
Yeah.
food that's inconsistent.
It's true.
I hate that.
And there's plenty of those restaurants that are like that.
You've made a reservation 2 months in advance. You spent $400, $500, $600 on the bill,
Yep.
and you left there like
And not only that, think
You never
about
wanna
it.
go back, no.
We're all foodies here, so if you
Recommendations.
went with someone, you're hyping the place up.
Oh yeah.
You're telling them, hey, this is gonna be the best food. You're gonna do this, and then you're sitting there, subpar meal, fat check, and your credibility just went.
No,
you
you're
know.
upset. You're like, I can't believe I just spent that money on this restaurant. Boys, it was a real pleasure, man. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
A real pleasure, boys. Lo quiero mucho.
Thank you guys.
Don't forget, #1 intern right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.